Yeah. I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heaven, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountain. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heaven, and it returns to me. I send my peace over the mountain. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heaven, and it returns to me. I send my love over the mountain. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heaven, and it returns to me, and it returns to me. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yes.
Welcome, everyone, to our beloved Spiritual Sunday, Sacred Sunday community. We welcome you from afar, and we welcome you all here to our blessed service here for you all on this beautiful Sunday morning. And I just want to start out by welcoming Angela Geary here as our minister. Give her a hand. Yeah, welcome her. Lovely. It's always nice to have her. And the beautiful music. I just love your music, Sunny. It so warms my heart. And it just really sends out this vibe of I send my love, out into the hills, into the sea. That's just an amazing thing, to do when you think about it. It's powerful. And that's what we do here. We send our love, and we send that goodness that we all have here for each other. And so my name is Paul Calabro, and I'm your spiritual practitioner for today, and it's a privilege and an honor to be here. And all the energy that's here in this room and everywhere present, to deal with that energy and to really extrapolate that energy from the ethers, and to know that spiritual energy is creative and powerful, and then we can use it for our good. It's such a powerful thing. And speaking of such immense energy, there's a new puppy in my household, and she's just really finding herself, and we got her at a pretty young age, and so when we first got her, we were trying to play with her and be like, hey, it's playtime. We had toys, and she didn't put it together, and now she's getting to that age where it's really coming together, this playfulness. I'm sitting on my couch and reading, and then she jumps on the couch and the coffee's all over the place. And I'm like, and so, but then I was thinking, since the theme of the month is the creative process, I was thinking that's creativity right there. That's filled with life and creativity. And then it made me think about this creativity that we all have, and all the projects that we all have, those beautiful creative projects, whether it's in the garden or in our homes or in art and music and prayer, and how this creative process is always working with each and every one of us. You know, and then even doing my my studies with Center for Spiritual Living and becoming a licensed practitioner, it was how do you define this creative process? And if I remember, if I had a problem describing this creative process, they told me the easiest thing to go to is God is all there is. God is all there is. And such a beautiful saying. And of course, we all know that God is all there is. And if I were actually to answer that way, they would be like, Paul, tell me more. Tell me more. Okay, what does that mean to you? Well, God is all there is. Okay, well, expound on that. And so that's what we do here every single Sunday. If you look at it, we're simply describing the creative process. This creative process of life that flows through each and every one of us. And so now let us just simply go inward in a moment of prayer where we can further explore this creative process, knowing that this creative process is always with us and that we have access to it. That there is one life, this knowingness, this creativity, this power of the Word that resides in me, that is the God within me, that is the God with each and every one of us here today, by which we get to take part in this moment of clarity, of love, of peace, of joy, whatever you may want to call it. It's simply a moment where we get to fully explore and live this notion that God is all there is. And so that presence of life, God, is within each and every aspect of this service, within each and every melody, which in each and every note and harmony that is sung just perfectly in that expression of God, of creativity, where we get to hear the loveliness that comes forth from it. The words that are spoken of by our beloved minister today, Angela, knowing that each and every word hits that note of goodness within each and every one of us. Whatever insight that comes forth, knowing that it blossoms into creativity, into that love and peace by which we are all sharing here today. And so I give thanks for this service. I give thanks for this love and this joy that we are all here to discover and to make known more in our hearts and in our lives. I release this prayer to that action of the law. And together we say, and so it is. And so as I was exploring the reading for the week to come, I was drawn to a simple phrase that has been written by Dr. Ernest Holmes in his famous text, as we all know which one that is, which is The Science of Mind and Spirit. And it was the expression of love and law, love and law. And so the creative process to me is that, love and law. And it's just really another easy way to describe what this creative process is. And so the reading goes, as we gain the broader viewpoint, we shall see that life must contain two fundamental characteristics. We shall see that there is an infinite spirit operating through an infinite and immutable law. In this cosmos, and not chaos, finds an eternal existence in reality. Love points the way, and law makes the way possible. And now let us sit for a moment to contemplate on those words and meditate. with love and light and sodas.
What a blessed time we live in now as we gather in this room. We feel the love that's deep within us by the things we say and what we do. I got the Spirit in me. I feel the Spirit in me. I got the Spirit in me. God's love has taken hold. We got enough love to make things happen. We got enough love to find the magic. We got enough love to open heaven's door. I got the Spirit in me. I got the Spirit in me. I got the Spirit in me. And God's love has taken hold. When my mind has me thinking I'm away from God, my heart tells me that's not true. I would never be abandoned. God is always coming through. Ooh, we got enough love to make things happen. We got enough love to find the magic. We got enough love to open heaven's door. Got the Spirit in me. I feel the Spirit in me. I got the Spirit in me. God's love has taken hold. I got the Spirit in me. I got the Spirit in me. I got the Spirit in me. God's love has taken hold. Thank you. Thank you. The band. The band. Thank you so much.
So good, you guys. We got the Spirit in us, right? We can feel it. Yeah. Morning, everybody. So good to see you all. I think before I start, I'd like to start with a note of celebration. We have a couple of things in the community here worthy of noting. It is Esther's birthday. Is Esther here? Is Esther? There's Esther. I hear it's a special one. I don't know what one it is, but we're so glad you were born. We're so glad the gift of you is here in this beautiful community. Thank you, Esther. We acknowledge you. And also, it is Mike and Popovich, celebrating their 57th wedding anniversary. Now that has to be celebrated. And they were married this day in 1966, a long time ago. And they're also celebrating the birth of their second great-grandbaby boy, Asher James Spence. Born Friday, August 25th. Wow, what a great weekend it's been for you. Yay. And while we're celebrating, Sunny and I celebrated our 27th wedding anniversary yesterday. So it's, always good to celebrate these markers, of life. Yes. So we're getting older and we're getting more vibrant. That's what I'm claiming, right? That's it. The vibrancy of spirit lives in us, and I see it shining through. We don't have to buy into this chronological age thing, really. We're young in spirit, and we've got the spirit in us. So let's take that this morning. So there's a story in Joan Borysenko's book, The Seven Paths to God. And it's about a yogi whose guru leaves him under a tree to meditate with two things, a begging bowl and a loincloth. And once a day, the yogi goes into the village to beg, and the rest of the time he spends under the tree contemplating God, being with spirit. And one day, did I say it's two things, a loincloth? One day he washed out, after a few days, he washed out his loincloth and put it on the hedge or the tree to dry. And when he woke up, the rats had chewed it. So he embarrassingly had to go into the village and beg for a loincloth as well as money for food for the day. And so he went back under the tree to contemplate and be with spirit. A few days later, he washed out the loincloth. The same thing happened. The rat chewed it up. So he said, this isn't going to work. So he found a cat so that the cat could chase the rat away. But then after a while, he realized, the cat needs milk. So he found a stray cow. And all was going well for a while. He was able to continue to contemplate God under the tree. And then the summer heat came and burnt the grasses, so there was no fodder for the cow. And so he had to then go and start begging for fodder to feed the cow. And he said, this is embarrassing. I've got to do something about this. So he decided to plant some crops because I don't think I told you, he was by a riverbank. He was set up under a tree by a riverbank. And the crops grew really well because it was luscious and wet there, and they thrived. But he was spending all his time tending to the crops and having less and less time to meditate and commune with spirit and to be with God. So he realized, I need to hire some laborers. And so he hired some laborers, and then that got to be a full-time job, managing the laborers, less and less time under the tree. So I'm not too keen on this part of the story, but this is the story. So he found a wife who could manage the laborers, and so that he would have more time to contemplate. And the wife wasn't happy, go figure, living under the tree by the riverbank with him in a loincloth. It wasn't cutting it for her. So they built a house, and it had to be a big house because now she was pregnant. So 5 years later, he's lazily kind of put on quite a bit of weight. He's luxuriating and resting under the tree when a familiar figure comes towards him, and it's his guru who had left him there 5 years ago. And the guru said, "What are you doing? Didn't I leave you here, 5 years ago, meditating on God under a tree?" And he said, "Oh, most reverend, beloved one, Guru Master, I know you're going to find this hard to believe, but this is the only way I could hold on to my loincloth." So the point is, it's so easy to get caught up in the doingness of life and to forget the most important thing, to go to spirit, to know that we have the power and the presence and the love and the joy of Spirit in us. And especially during these times, there's a temptation, right, to get pulled away into the appearances and conditions and circumstances and challenges of our life. You know, was it Jesus said, you can't serve God and mammon. And it's easier to put a camel through thread a camel through a needle than it is for a rich man to get to heaven, you know? And we can have both, right? So we have to be good stewards of our life. We have to be good stewards to our health, to our bodies, to our finances, to our relationships, to the things to our new puppy, to things that we are dealing with in the world. That we're good instruments so that we can be clear instruments for Spirit to flow through us. If we're broke all the time, I think too much energy goes into that. Ever been there? It's challenging. A lot of energy then goes into how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to get money? We forget. If we get caught up in it's all about the money and worrying about where all that money is going to go, it's the same thing. So we're called to find this balance and to absolutely know that the only power over us is the power inside of us. We're called to stand rooted in the sovereign truth of our divine nature. There is no power greater than us. And a wonderful example of the resiliency of Spirit in shaman speak is the hummingbird. You know, I love the shamans because we talk about this oneness of life, and when we talk about oneness of life, we're talking about people and animals and the earth and everything, right? And these animal totems are medicine because they have those qualities of Spirit within us that we have within us. And the hummingbird is really known to be in Peru and places like that, the highest form, because the hummingbird is not a victim of conditions. Apparently the hummingbird, did you know, flies from Brazil to Canada and back. I'm seeing people who know about these things nodding, so I'm getting. And what they do is they fly with the geese, apparently. And when geese fly, they have one goose that leads the flock, and they alternate, like a different goose leads the flock. And each time that happens, and another goose, one goose steps back and another goose steps up, apparently it throws the hummingbird back about 200 meters, like several feet, and then it has to scramble to keep up with the geese. So no matter what, the hummingbird keeps on keeping on against all odds. And that hummingbird medicine, that hummingbird spirit lives and moves and has its being through and as each one of us. We have to stand saying, I'm not going to be victim of my conditions. I'm not going to be victim to the conditions that are showing up in the world. I've got Spirit in me. I've got a divine power within me. I've got a light, a harmony, a peace, and a joy that is greater than anything else. That as Paul talked about love and law, right? So God is love. God is infinite wisdom. God is divine grace itself. God is infinite abundance and beauty and harmony and divine flow. And God is also the law of attraction. God is also that God shows up through us in both of those ways. We have been given the power to create the conditions and circumstances in our life. Everything is an outpicturing of our consciousness. Everything. Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe, right? This is really New Thought Science of Mind 101, and it seems simple, yet it's not always easy to put into practice. It's what Shakespeare said, nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. But thinking makes it so. All life is emerging through and as us. So let's embody that truth, the power within us, no power greater. Let's hear those words of Rumi again. Don't you know yet? It's your light that lights the world. Don't we know yet the power of the light within us? Don't we know that within us is hummingbird wisdom, is a resilient spirit, is a power greater than any circumstances. And the power and the truth of spirit is greater than any facts. It's interesting, I was praying with my prayer partner on Friday, and my prayer partner has the appearance of cancer in their body. And so that's one thing we always go to. And they had just gotten scans that weren't that great last week. And I'm like, the t-shirt, so I prayed on that, like, okay, those are the facts. We can't deny the facts. To deny the facts is to wed us to them or to, give them more energy. We don't deny the facts, and we don't give the facts all the power. We go back to, there's a power and a resiliency and a miracle worker and an infinite possibility of the divine that lives and moves and has its being through and as me, through and as my prayer partner, through and as each of us and all sentient beings everywhere. We can't get hung up on facts. We tend to the facts. We're good stewards of the facts. My prayer partner will take her medicine, however she chooses to take that medicine in whatever form works for her, as each of us does on our healing journey. And health is not in our body, it's in our body of consciousness. And wealth is not in our bank account. It's in the infinite abundance of prosperity of spirit that shines its light over, above, beyond, and beneath it all, and through each and every one of us. So we face the facts, but we don't have to give the facts all the power. We know of a greater power. We come back to, there's no power over me greater than the power inside of me. I think the other way we can get stuck around these truths is a belief in two powers. A belief in health and well-being and wholeness and disease, in wealth and in lack and limitation, in love and in fear. We believe in unity and separation. And there aren't two powers. There's one power. Notice all the great teachings say this, and especially Ernest Holmes, repeats it again and again and again. One power, one life, one love, one abundance, one wholeness, one freedom. Not two, one. And if we're experiencing anything that doesn't look like that, we've just veered away. We're just believing in two powers. There's a belief in two powers. And we bring ourselves back to the believing. Our attention, our prayer work, our practice is back to one power. Let me anchor in to that one power. Let me put my faith and trust that Spirit is within me, around me, through and as me. Let me remember There's no greater power outside of me than the power inside of me. I think the other place that we can get stuck, maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but I don't think so somehow, is that we have to let go of trying to control, manipulate, fix, or heal conditions. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't tend to them, but to some degree we can get stuck there. We can get stuck in this world of form trying to change things, trying to fix things, trying to make it look different. It's not about setting things straight. It's about seeing things straight. There's a big distinction there. When we are willing to let go of trying to control, manipulate, fix, change, even heal conditions. And when we want spirit, when we want God, when we want to be anchored in that place more than we want anything else, we are set free. The veil is lifted. We may feel that. Sometimes it's incrementally, slowly. Sometimes it's a drastic pulling away of the veil, and we see clearly. There's another little story of a monk, a student monk and a monk master by the river. And the student says, Master, I really want to know God. I just really yearn for that. How do I do that? And the master grabbed the monk's back of the head and neck and dunked him in the water and held it down there for the longest time until he was nearly drowning. And then he let him back up, and the student's like, whoa, what did you do that for? And he said, when you want God as much as you wanted that breath, then you're there. Then you're home. So we turn our attention away. We tend to the facts. We're good stewards. But we turn our thinking, worrying, manipulating, fixing, controlling mind away from the conditions and the circumstances. And we turn it, we anchor it in that higher truth. That's our spiritual practice. Again and again and again, we come back to. There's no power greater than the power inside of me. We can trust this infinite intelligence, this divine wisdom that even as we're speaking is keeping the planet spinning, that even as we're speaking is keeping this heart beating, is keeping the blood circulating around our bodies. Even as I'm speaking, the sun is shining. Everything is in its a divine right order and grace. The ecosystem is a divine design. It could be nothing but that. If we look at the marvels of nature, if we look at the marvels of birth of these bodies, we can trust this wisdom. We can trust this infinite intelligence to have its way through and as us. And we know we are born of it. We know we're cells in that divine organism. We're sparks of the infinite intelligence. We are imbued with all the qualities and attributes of a power and a presence that keeps this universe happening. We just have to tap in to our own potential. We just have to know that we can use the law of attraction, that we can use the love of God and the power of God that we are, and this creativity within us that we've been gifted with to manifest peace in the world, certainly peace in our hearts. Certainly an energy of abundance and love and freedom and peace and grace. Where else do we get stuck? Let's see. Did I tell you about the T-shirt that said, God hates facts? That was the T-shirt. I think I never got to that. I was prayed with my prayer partner on Friday, and I said, that's just the facts. We're not going to get stuck there. And it's appropriate to feel when we get a scan that doesn't look good. The human part of us has to feel that. It's okay to move through the fear and all of that. And at the same time, to say the facts are not the truth. They're certainly not the only truth, and they're certainly not the greater truth. So having said that and prayed that, I went to yoga, and someone walked in with a T-shirt that said, God hates facts. It's like, yes. I don't think God hates anything, but we get the gist. God hates facts because God knows his beloved children, his beloved divine expressions, you and I and all sentient beings, that we give facts too much power. That we get depressed because of facts. That we get pulled down because of facts. That we forget our divine and inherent birthright because of the facts. They're not the only truth. And so if things are not showing up in our life the way that we want, if there are problems, a problem is an emblem. It's pointing us to something that needs our attention. And we have to get to whatever is underneath, whatever is the belief. You know, we have a gardener that comes every few weeks, and he's always saying, you know, I spent most of the time pulling up these weeds or whatever it is by hand. You know, it takes a lot longer than weed whacking them. But when you weed whack, they just come back because you don't pull them up from the roots. And that's the same with any false beliefs or doubts or fears. We can't just affirm them away. If there's consistent things that are showing up in our life that are not working for us, we have to root out the weeds from the root, the weeds of our false beliefs, the weeds of our error in thinking, the weeds of the thoughts of limitation and lack. To go to the root of what is keeping us. Maybe, and at the root of all roots is really, as Ernest Holmes said, a belief that we're separate from spirit. If we really believed we were this power, we're one with this mighty, amazing, magnificent spirit, we wouldn't be in some of the situations or states of being that we're in. So we do our spiritual work. And lastly, and I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago when I were here, we can get stuck, having said that we need to pull the roots out and go to the source of what's blocking us. We do have to do that work, and we can get stuck there in the shedding of the old self. We can get stuck in looking at our childhood wounds and looking at our false beliefs and looking at why we are the way we are and doing that work, right? Again, it has to be done. But, you know, I was listening to the shaman Alberto Villaldo, and he said, you know, he got addicted to that. He said he realized he was just addicted to just searching deeper and deeper and finding more and more, you know, things about himself and the false beliefs. Like I mentioned this last week, that in medicine circles, shamans give us 2 books. They give their participants 2 books, and one is a silver foiled book, which is the story of your life. Up from the moment you were born up until when you were handed the book, and there's a gold foiled book and that book's already written in, and the gold foiled book is empty, and it's the book for the new story. It's time for us to start gently laying down the silver-foiled book. May need a little editing and tweaking every now and then, but I think it's safe to say, as I gaze around the room, most of us have done a lot of that on that book. We've been writing that story for a while. What would it be like to imagine right now opening up this beautiful, empty, gold-foiled book and to write the new story? And it starts with, there's no power outside of me greater than the power inside of me. Let me tell the story of the power and the presence and the beauty and the abundance and the freedom of spirit within me. Let's write that story together. Because as you and I write our individual stories, we're writing that story for our planet too. Oh, I've got 2 talks up here. I found the old pages of a talk that when I had left here. So let me make sure I'm getting there. So we stand in faith, right? That's the hummingbird. The hummingbird medicine, again, coming back to, has faith. You know, it collects enough nectar in its little body to make that journey. As much as it can hold, trusting that there'll be flowers along the way. And there always are. It's taken care of. And we can take heed from the wisdom and the resilient spirit and the faith of the hummingbird. That as we embark on our journey, we use the nectar of spirit, the nectar of our spiritual principles, the nectar of our spiritual truth, the nectar of our love of God, the nectar of our faith, and we trust that the people, the places, the resources, the things, everything that we need comes to us. We step out in faith. We step out in faith like Moses and the Israelites did. When the Red Seas parted, you know this. What happened is the seas parted and the army was behind them and the Red Sea was in front of them. And it wasn't until they were nose deep in the water that the waters parted. We can't wait until we're not scared. We can't wait until we see, it seems like we've set everything straight. Are we breathing? I'm seeing some breath withholds. Let's take a breath or two, sorry. Just that thought of being nose deep in the water maybe, but right? It's like we have to step out. We have to. We have to flap our spirit wings, right? And trust. It's jumping off the cliff. We flap our spirit wings and trust that we will land safely. We trust that we will know how to fly. All of that. Our faith carries us forward. So there's no power greater anywhere outside than this amazing power within each and every one of us. And let us pray on that. Let us take a breath or two. Let us anchor in that. There's no power outside of me greater than the power inside me. Let's feel that to be the truth. One power, one presence, one light, the light of spirit, ever shining all of the time. This power, this light, this beauty shining forth as all of creation, shining forth as me and shining forth as in each and every one here in this room and all sentient beings. We are the power that Spirit is. We are spiritual beings. We are imbued with all the qualities and all the attributes of the divine I Am itself. There is no lack or limitation in Spirit. There is no separation in Spirit. There is no fear in Spirit. There is no dis-ease in Spirit. There is only well-being. There is only freedom. There is only abundance. There is only faith. There is only love. So we anchor ourselves in this truth, and we let go consciously of trying to manipulate, control, or fix the conditions and circumstances in our life, because we know that everything in our life is there by divine appointment, and that everything is pointing us towards some spiritual truth we're being called to apprentice under. So the conditions and the relationships in our life are our teachers. And we just simply ask, how can I go to that higher truth again and again and again? And we let go of giving facts too much energy. We look at the facts, we're good stewards of the facts, and we recognize with every cell of our being that this power and this presence of Spirit within, around, through, and as us is not bound by facts. It's not bound by time or space or precedent. It's over, beyond, beneath, much more expansive and infinite than that. And we courageously begin right here, right now, writing in our gold foiled book, our new story of the divine I Am that we are. We have so much to say about the greatness and the magnificence and the power and the presence of Spirit within us. This love story. And we let the old story go. We give thanks for it. We let it fall away with ease, with grace, with effortlessness. And we flap our wings and we stand rooted in faith. I'm so grateful to know that. We stand with the faith of God, Goddess itself. Nothing, no thing deters us. No thing blocks us. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We let our mighty power out, and we let it roar, and we let it shine. Thank you, Spirit, for these truths. I release my word. I set that immutable law of attraction into motion, knowing the work is done already. There's an imprint for all of it that exists in the mind of love. And it's downloading. We breathe it in right now, through and as each of us, awakening us to the truth of our divine nature and the love of God, the greatest love of all. And so it is. Amen.
So school has started again, so I was teaching an English class, subbing for a class last week, and the creative process, this is, so the teacher left this assignment, and the students had to complete the story. They read most of it, and they had to come up with an ending. So I see all these blank faces. I should have said, everybody breathe. It was like that kind of situation. I don't know what to write, and they were going on and on. I said, imagination, use your imagination, imagination. So this one fellow raises his hand and he goes, 3 little pigs. I looked at him, I said, what'd you say? He said, 3 little pigs. It was the most absurd thing I heard in the world, but I said, you have no idea how funny that is. It had nothing to do with anything. So suddenly we all burst out laughing because the ridiculous hit us by surprise. And that's imagination, because imagination is that kind of random. And I just don't think he knew that he was a genius. But nonetheless, it ended up, but they began writing. It loosened up the vibe in the room, and it made it work, you know. So, and it just, I'll never forget that. 3 little pigs. What? You know? Let's see. Am I on? Yes. I'm going to avail myself of this band I have here, so we're going to rock, you know. And thank you guys so much. When dark clouds fill the sky, hiding sunlight from your eyes, say God's name, see God's form, and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Say God's name, see God's form, and hold on. When things start getting rough and you feel enough's enough, say God's name, see God's form, and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Say God's name, see God's form, and hold on. Keep a smile and say I can love and serve across this land. Say God's name, see God's form, and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Say God's name, see God's form, and hold on. You know you're gonna make it. You will get through. You'll never be abandoned. God is holding you. Hold on. Hold on. Say God's name, see God's form, and hold on. Let's kind of do that together a little bit. Hold on. No, not Keith. Hold on. Hold on. Say God's name, see God's form, and hold on. One more time. Hold on. Hold on. Say God's name, see God's form, and hold on. Yes, yes. Thank you.
Wow, what an amazing performance and talk. It's so awesome. It's so awesome to be here. And, Angela, Reverend Angela, I don't think I would be here where I am in my state of awareness and consciousness if I haven't experienced that first talk you gave here. So it really was profound, the way you speak and the ideas. It really shifts my consciousness, and it really makes me it brings me into this state of awareness. And that's what we do here every Sunday when we gather. It's a high mysticism, because we focus on this presence and life, and it really elevates us to a greater sense of being, where we get to see life differently. And so we are now at our place of conscious giving, where we support the center with our spiritual coin and our love and the currency and the value that we get to share, and we make it happen. And I remember one time in class with Reverend Guy when he was talking about the money and stuff and things of that nature, and it came up where we were talking about investing, and he was talking about someone who was concerned about not having enough money, and he would say, don't worry about the money. The money is where it is. It just is where it is. And I thought that was so profound, because I'm like, what do you mean? And it took me like years of thinking about that to come to some sense of understanding. And so if you're giving today, please, if you like, place that gift to your heart. Just know with me that this gift goes out to good, to life, and it represents that sense of spiritual awareness, where we get to come here and gather in each and every Sunday to explore this higher truth, this nature of goodness, by which we activate that law of attraction in our lives and for the lives of those we love the most. And so I give thanks for this lovely gathering. I call it forth into being. I let it be so, and so it is.
We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful for all that we have. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so blessed.
All right, so we have some things coming up. We have a class that's coming up. It's on the process of visioning, which is an amazing class. I actually love this visioning idea, and it was actually created by Dr. Bernard Beckwith. And he has a book on it and a series of CDs, and just an amazing class where we get to learn how to lead our lives through our intuition and to vision what's to come in our lives, whether it's the next month or the next year. And I remember even going over this material and how powerful it was just to sit there and vision. And so it's an opportunity that's given to us by Sherry, who's our satellite practitioner in Oregon. It'll be an online class. It's called Visioning, A Way of Life. And it will start on September 13th through October 18th. It's a 6-week class. It's on Wednesdays, I believe from 6 o'clock to 8:30. And so please sign up for that. That's an amazing experience. And classes are just such wonderful opportunities to go deep in this work that we do, right? So if you've never taken a class, this is a great chance for you to do so. Just to see what actually takes place, where we get to go deep with some of these topics that we just explore every Sunday here together. And so September 13th through October 18th, you can sign up on the website. There's a link in our newsletter and through the emails that you receive. If you're not receiving the emails, sign up for the newsletter. It's a great newsletter, and it comes out every Thursday and Sunday. So please take part in that and share, where we get to share the magic of each other in classes as well. Another thing that's coming up here is we have a prayer circle after service, and then that's a great chance to really get some prayer in. If you're looking just to get prayer, if you have a challenge that you're going through, it's a great way to sit and just really explore prayer in each and everyone's life. We also have a class on the Tao every Sunday at 9 a.m. with the irreverend Jim Jones, who gets to lead it for us. I'm sure it's an amazing class. I always tell him every Sunday, one day I'm going to take your class. And so I will. I'm going to make a point to do so. So maybe next Sunday. And would you like to share anything about it to the viewers and everyone here, or?
I would just say that it's fine to just come whenever you want to. You're not going to be missing out if you haven't been to the previous classes. So it's designed to be able to drop in and enjoy it whenever it works out for you. And it's a lot of fun. We get a lot of questions going on. So I would encourage you to come and check it out.
Is that online?
So there is a live online version of it Friday mornings on Zoom, and then the Zoom recordings are actually recorded and live on YouTube. So if you'd like to find that information, I put this on through, I guess, a context that I have called Kinship Cafe, and there's a website called kinship.cafe, not .com, but .cafe. And if you go there, it has previous videos and an email link. You can sign up to receive emails when the videos come out, as well as links to the Zoom class if you'd like to take it.
And this one is here?
Yes, this one is here on Sunday mornings from 9 to 10 in person. Mm-hmm.
Also, there's a prayer box in the back where you can submit prayers if you would like prayer in your life. Each and every week, our practitioners, myself included, and Dr. Guy, we get together and we pray for our community. And so open up, feel free to open up and write a prayer on our prayer cards that we have there for you in the back so we can get together and pray. We actually are a consistent praying ecclesiastical team for our beloved communities. So please feel free to share that. Also, we have a meditation that's held here on Wednesdays, and I facilitate that as well, Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. It's a nice little gathering where you can sit and meditate midweek and really, really find that peace of God within us. Also, on September 3rd, our practitioner, Craig Losey, will be holding a poetry service, and those are amazing as well. So I'm sure most of us have experienced that. And there'll be music. I'll be playing music with Reverend Jim, the Reverend Jim here, and this awesome percussion. And we're going to be just playing together and reciting poetry. That's going to be an amazing experience. Also, that day is Reverend Guy's birthday too, so we can hold him in consciousness and awareness that day as well. And so I think that's pretty much it. Would you like to pray us out there, Reverend Angela?
If you'd like to stand, please do. Let's just get some energy going. It's been so wonderful to be with you all. Let's just take a breath in. I just want to say, yay for you, Hilltop, holding it together while your minister's on sabbatical. It's beautiful. So we know wherever Reverend Guy is, God is with him. And I give thanks for the presence, for the power, for the love. For the love, we feel it. We feel it in our hearts. We feel it here in this room. We feel it to be the truth about and between us. And we feel it and know it to be the truth of our divine nature. God is all there is, and all there is God. So we leave with this spiritual truth ringing in our ears. We leave with every cell vibrating with its truth and with its poignancy. And we remember the power that we are as we go forth back into the world of conditions and circumstances and affairs. We remember the spiritual truth always. So I give thanks for this gathering. I give thanks for the joy in our hearts. I let it be, and so it is. Amen.
God's love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me higher and higher. God's love keeps lifting me higher than I've ever been lifted before. Keep it going, quench my desire. I'll be by your side, my Lord, forevermore. God's love keeps lifting me. It keeps on lifting me higher and higher and higher. Once I was so downhearted. Disappointment was my only friend. And then you came and wrapped your arms around me, and I could stand up tall and face this world again. God's love keeps lifting me higher than I've ever been lifted before. God's love keeps lifting me. It keeps on lifting me higher and higher and higher. Keeps on lifting me. It keeps on lifting me higher and higher and higher. One more time. It keeps on lifting me. It keeps on lifting me higher and higher and higher. Thank you. And thank you, guys. This was fabulous. Yes. Yes.
Your heart and your art.
Yeah, I think